All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're jumping right into an explainer that is honestly going to completely change how we think about leaving our feathered friends with a pet sitter. We're talking about a concept that sounds, well, kind of funny at first, very human, but is literally a game changer for parrot care. It's called the Parrot Resume. So here's the big question we all face when we head out of town. Are those standard sticky note feeding instructions really enough to keep your pet safe? Now, for a lot of animals, sure, maybe. But if you share your home with a parrot, no way. Absolutely not. We're going to challenge the idea that a quick list on the fridge cuts it for creatures that are, frankly, operating at toddler-level emotional and intellectual complexity. Here's how we're going to break it down today. We'll quickly cover why parrots are definitely not easy pets, define what this parrot resume actually is, dive into their unique personalities and origins, look at the very real cost of caregiver guesswork, and finally, we'll build out one of these resumes together. Okay, section 1. Parrots are not easy pets. We really need to move beyond standard care. Right, so here's the core issue. Parrots are highly emotional, incredibly observant, and fiercely routine-driven creatures. You literally cannot treat them like your average dog or cat. Generic pet care, that's usually just logistics, right? Scooping some food, refilling a water bowl. But parrot care, that is active management. Because these guys are so sensitive, the slightest shift, a new person, a weird shadow, a slight change in the schedule, can cause immediate distress. If your sitter only knows what seeds to pour, they are dangerously unequipped for the emotional roller coaster that happens the second you walk out the door. Which brings us to section 2, what is a parrot resume? It's basically a professional background check for your bird. So what actually is a parrot resume? Simply put, it's a short but super detailed profile of your bird's life, their quirks, habits, and specific care needs. Think of it like a human resume. It puts all the vital, need-to-know background info in one spot. It goes way, way beyond just what pellets they eat. It's essentially a translation manual for your pet sitter or boarding facility. It explains exactly who your bird is, what makes them feel safe, and, crucially, what totally freaks them out. Moving to section 3, origin, personality, and quirks. Let's unlock your bird's unique psychology. You see, a bird's history completely hardwires their present behavior. Take a super confident, outgoing bird, for example. They might absolutely thrive on interaction, ready to play games or just step right up onto a stranger's hand. But a rescue bird? That's a whole different story. They might need a painfully slow introduction, much softer handling, maybe even less eye contact at first just to feel secure. If a well-meaning sitter uses a one-size-fits-all approach and treats a traumatized rescue like a confident clown, yeah, they can accidentally trigger massive fear. Knowing that origin story prevents trauma and actually builds trust safely. And it's not always about heavy trauma either. It's about those tiny, hyper-specific quirks. Parrots are massive creatures of habit. You might have a bird that only plays with red toys and is absolutely terrified of blue ones. Or maybe they panic if someone walks in wearing a baseball cap. They might despise the vacuum cleaner. Or, hey, maybe they absolutely insist on listening to the radio during breakfast. These might sound like silly little details to us, but to a parrot, preserving those routines is the difference between a chill week and a total meltdown. Knowing these quirks keeps the environment stress-free. All right, section 4, the cost of guesswork. What happens when sitters are left in the dark? When sitters have to guess, the stakes get incredibly high, both emotionally and physically. Think about it. A well-meaning sitter might see a totally silent bird and assume, oh, they're relaxed, just taking a nap, when in reality, that bird is frozen in sheer terror. Or they might see a bird lunging and think it's just being mean or disobedient, rather than realizing it's a frantic stress response. Worst of all, they might try to force physical touch to cheer up a withdrawn bird, which, as we know, just skyrockets their anxiety. Guessing leads to misreading, and that ruins trust and can really impact your bird's health. And this right here is why establishing a baseline is absolutely crucial. You literally cannot spot distress, illness, or even just boredom if you don't know what normal looks like for that specific bird. Some birds are just naturally loud, chaotic little dinosaurs, right? While others are quiet observers. The resume gives your sitter that vital reference point. It separates an ordinary personality quirk from a full-blown medical emergency. Once a sitter has that baseline, they can actually watch for the subtle warning signs. Because stress in birds, it doesn't always look like a dramatic movie scene. It's sneaky. It could be sudden aggression or sad stuff like feather picking. It could be that eerie silence we just mentioned. Or on the flip side, non-stop screaming. Hiding, refusing to eat, or physical things like tail bobbing and rapid breathing. Those are massive red flags. Remember, birds are prey animals. They are masters at hiding illness. A A sitter armed with their baseline normal can spot these tiny changes early, before it's too late. Okay, final section, number 5, building your bird's resume. Let's get into a practical guide. So how do we actually put this together? Well, you start with the basics, obviously. Name, species, age. But you've got to include that origin story we talked about. Toss in a quick personality summary, detail their favorite activities and snacks, and map out their exact daily routine. You want to be super specific about handling. Do they step up or do they completely hate hands? List out every trigger or fear you can think of. Always, always include vet details. And here is a fantastic pro tip. Include photos of your cage setup, food portions, and safe handling tricks. If you've got a multi-bird home, this is an absolute lifesaver. It completely prevents a sitter from mixing up diets or routines for two very different birds. When you bring all of this together into a care plan, the whole dynamic shifts. Step 1, you, the owner, document those boundaries and habits. Step 2, your sitter walks in and all that anxiety, gone. Their uncertainty drops, their confidence shoots up because they know exactly what to do. And step 3, emergencies are prevented through early detection. The bird stays safe, and you actually get to enjoy your vacation with genuine peace of mind. Now, if you're sitting there wondering how to organize all this without leaving a chaotic stack of sticky notes on the counter, there are tools for that. Our source material actually highlights the Parrot Legacy and Care Journal, which you can grab on Amazon. It's a pre-formatted journal designed specifically to keep all this vital info organized in one spot. It's just a really practical way to make sure you aren't forgetting any of those crucial little details. So, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Is your pet's resume ready for your next vacation? It is officially time to ditch those generic feeding notes. Taking just an hour to build an informed, detailed profile for your feathered best friend turns guesswork into actual, sensitive support. You owe it to their incredible intelligence to leave them in the most informed hands possible. So, how well does your sitter really know your bird? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.